Welcome to Third Chances, a talk show where we like to hear from people who devoted their life to health, fitness, and wellness. Medical professionals, health coaches, and all the others who help us every day to cure our body, mind, or soul. Those who always look for more natural, holistic ways to help even more people to live a happier and healthier life. Those who don't like to give up easily and settle on you or themselves. It is never too late or too soon. I always believe that every one of us deserves not just a second chance, but as many as we need. I'm Vera, your host. Who better than a master of reinvention with an accent to guide you through it, right? Just like they say, you are not a tree, so move. And God knows I have done just that in my own life many times. If you are not completely happy with the direction your life is going, this show may help you get the courage to change what is needed, find a new path, and take charge. So come on over, pour yourself a glass of wine, and spend some time with us. Let's laugh and cry together and get inspired by people just like you and me who overcame their own doubts and took a leap of faith to reinvent their life on their own terms. I hope and pray that we help you on that journey. And if you feel so compelled and inspired, please let us know. Don't be shy. Who knows? You may just be our next featured guest with another inspiring success story. So here we go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Third Chances, where I get the privilege to interview interesting people who reinvented their life and are now in service of others, helping them become healthier, happier, or wealthier. And today I have super special guest, and I was just privileged to meet him in person last weekend in Dallas. His name is Doyle, and even though originally from Australia, I believe you are coming to me from Hawaii right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Welcome, Dan, to my podcast. I'm so grateful that you made time for us.
No, thank you, Vera. Thanks for inviting me. My time is your time, so it's all good.
You know, it's with your story, it's hard to imagine someone who went through so much, because as I remember correctly, and I'm sure you will put it in the right place, you came from a high professional success to being brought to your knees by health, and almost all the way to realizing no matter what the treatment that there may be no more hope for you. And obviously being with us today, it took a sharp turn. You changed all of it by taking responsibility for your own health and ultimately life. And it's just when I first saw you talking about it, it took my breath away. I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to share it with my listeners right now. But just let's start at the beginning. Actually, beginning. The bio you sent me is the end of it. It's a very successful end of it. So just so you know, Dan Doyle is a SIA Presidential Diamond. He is 2018 $1 Million Earner Club. He is 2017 Business Builder Award, 2017 Entrepreneurial Spirit Award, and 2016 Emerging Leader of the Year, which are just the latest successes in the company that I had the fortune to meet you. But we will talk about it, what it took and what kind of businesses you did before and what led to change everything. My podcast is named Third Chances. I believe you had more than few chances to reinvent your life and do something about that not so positive outcome that you were facing just even like maybe a decade ago. So again, let me welcome you to our podcast, and please tell us, you originally came from Australia, right? What was your childhood looking like? What was your life then?
Yeah. Vera, thank you again for inviting me on to Third Chances. Love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
It was a real pleasure meeting you in Texas only last week. We had a great time, so that was fantastic. Well, growing up in Sydney, in Australia, I, from the time I went to school, I did not like school. I persisted with school, but I never did my homework. And I don't know how I got away with all of my life not doing my homework. I have no idea. I can't recall what transpired back then, but I used to distract myself from playing sports. And I got into, at the age of 5, rugby, and then in my early teens, judo, gymnastics while playing rugby, aerobics later on, which was huge back in the 80s, and then obviously surfing, because it's a big part of Australian culture. So a lot of people do that. And then as time went on, I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So bodybuilding was my last sport. I don't know if we can share some photos at this point and show people how serious I was about.
Absolutely, because that, like, if you are not watching it on YouTube, you are missing a lot, because this is gonna be very visual. And this is what Dan looked like when he was on top of his game.
So age 13 years old, obviously a man by the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger came into my life, and I started following him however I could back in those days, and very inspirational. Really motivated me to becoming the best version of myself in so many ways. And this was literally coming to the end of my bodybuilding career. But it wasn't the end of me looking after myself physically.
But can you tell me how you achieved this state? Did you do any of the supplements? Did you do the proper diet? Working out, obviously, it's a necessity, but how did you achieve this beautiful shape?
Yes, I mean, obviously at the age 13, started picking up weight. So I was very, very early. I was 24 here. This is back in the early 90s. I realized, sort of playing the sports and doing aerobics, my body started taking shape and putting on muscle. And I ended up under the training, guidance, and mentor of another bodybuilder, somebody who owned a gym. And he taught me all about nutritional supplements. Nutritional supplements, when I say that, for bodybuilding. So back then we were into proteins, creatine, amino acids, and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But personally, I didn't have the knowledge when it comes to the experience that you've got and you've had all your life, which is proper nutrition to feed the body and the cells. So for me, it was all about, okay, what can I do to put on muscle? And it was all around protein. So back then, even the knowledge of, having a good balanced diet wasn't in my life, because I used to think, okay, I'll just have a steak for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a lot of eggs, or a lot of, chicken breast, or whatever it may be. But anyway, I ended up on the knowledge that I had getting this result.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It could have been much better. It could have been way better.
But you didn't do any of the forbidden supportive substances.
Not in the early days, in my latter days.
Oh.
So when I actually competed in local events, I was all natural. When I went to the big boys, you just can't compete. So the IFBB, the NABA Federation, they're the two biggest bodybuilding federations in the world. So mildly, yeah, absolutely, to enable me to compete in my later stages. Mm-hmm. But this is literally a week before I retired. So I had one more competition after this particular competition. They were both state titles. Vera, I don't like talking about them because I came second in both.
Oh, well, I believe that's still pretty awesome success.
But to me, it's the first loser. And so
you are somebody who hates to lose.
I like to achieve. I like to win, regardless of what that is in my life. We talk about a lot, as you know, potential and powering potential, and which I love this verbiage, because Vera, all of my life, even going through where I was here, because by this stage I had employees, which I'll go into. Yeah. I wanted to help an individual, no matter what or where they were in life or what they were doing. I always said to them verbally, I want to help you to your potential.
Which is showing the true leader. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like to get the best out of people, to extract that out of them. So for me, it was the same thing. But I had to motivate myself. Going into traditional business, which I did in the early 90s, I didn't have any experience in traditional businesses. See, when I left school, or more to the point, Vera, dropped out of school to my father's dismay and disgust. He just wanted the best for me. He wanted better for me than he had. Mum and dad worked very hard with 3 jobs each. He wanted me to have a better career path.
Yeah. And the
And
security of a good job, right? Yeah.
good job, good income, good, lifestyle. And what happened was, I looked at their lives and I'm thinking all of my life growing up, that wasn't the way to go. Them working so hard, because the other thing, they didn't see us much. As children, they worked so hard, put so many hours in, that was neglect in regards to spending time with us. So that was that really made it quite difficult growing up, because we were always, babysitters next door, the neighbors or an auntie or an uncle, something. But still, they did incredible in regards to bringing us up, because they were doing the best.
Bringing up, yeah, because I heard somebody saying just recently that we are all conditioned in schools and colleges to be a good employees. There is no, you say that you started business without really having experience. I think we all did, because there's no proper business school to prepare you for what entrepreneurship means. That,
Yeah.
I think that's a big true of, yeah.
Oh, exactly. So exactly what you're saying now is what I realized when I was very young. So I knew I had to do something about that in a different way. So schooling, education, as you said, how to be the best employee you can be, how to take out debt, and how to, all of your life, work yourself out of that debt.
So what kind of businesses did you start?
So dropped out of school to Dad's disgust. And he said, listen, if you find a job that I like, I'll give you my blessing. And I said, what do you mean a job that you like? I've got to work it.
Right. Yeah.
So I got a job with one of the big 4 banks in Australia. But after a period of time before I went into traditional business, for several years, and I did really well in the banking system, from cleaning a coffee machine when I first started to literally an engineer for the bank. And I was on a lot of money as a kid back in the late 80s. But I realized back then I didn't want to exchange time for money. Yeah. I knew there was something else. I knew there was something better than what I was doing. I wanted to give myself my own pay rises. So I went to traditional business back in the early 90s. Now, as a sports person, an athlete, a bodybuilder, where do I go? What do I look for? What do I do? And I actually bought myself an existing bodybuilding shop which sold aerobics gear, gym gear, supplements. So that's how I started, all the way back in the early 90s.
And you ended up with a lot of employees, I heard.
Well, that was just me by myself initially. But then I started expanding, and this is what I looked like back then when I had that business. Then I started expanding into the shop next door, shop across the road, my own gym, my own aerobics, my own boxing gym. And it got quite substantial. It was the biggest bodybuilding shop in Australia, and it was a great business. So let's look at where I am right here as a bodybuilder in business, starting as a young entrepreneur. And what happened was I became very good at building and selling traditional businesses. So from the last photo to this photo, I built and sold 20 traditional businesses between the age 24 and 44.
So would you say that you were that typical go-getter, like you just want to achieve and you were going? How old were you at this photo, do you know?
So this is 44, 20 years after the last.
Oh, wow.
Obviously not a bodybuilder anymore. I was into more cardiovascular. And as life went on, I just wanted to make sure I was the best version of a 44-year-old that I could be. Even today, if you look at this and where I am today, I look at what I do today that's going to contribute to where my body is in 10 years' time.
Right.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that every day. So this is 20 years later. Now, you would think I was in pretty good condition here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good shape. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Did you
what happened?
feel healthy?
Felt fantastic. Felt absolutely fantastic. But what happened was 6 months after this photo was taken, I found something that wasn't quite right with my body, went for a checkup, and then I got some really bad news, which leads to the next photo 6 months later.
Hmm.
And the next photo is a photo of me on the right-hand side, going through what I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. You can see I've got no hair from the top of my head to my toes. Doctor gave me not one lot of bad news, but two lots of bad news. I had two major challenges. And talking about challenges, this was the most challenging time in my entire life. A young friend of mine on the left, as you know, Johnny Mannett, played rugby in Australia. He'd been through a similar health challenge. He got through that. He was in remission, went back to playing the highest levels of rugby in Australia. After this photo was taken, his problem came back. He went back into hospital, mirrored me with losing all his hair again. I went through all sorts of terrible things. Unfortunately for him, and he was only 21 here, he never came out of that hospital. We lost him at the age of 23. So that was a really sad time. And Vera, that got me thinking, here he is at 23,
Yeah.
and I'm, about twice his age. I'm half as fit. He had the good one and I had two of the bad ones. And my question was, what was going to happen to me moving forward, which I asked my doctors. And at the end of 2.5 years of what they put me through, when I asked that question, they told me to get my affairs in order. So that was a terrible time.
That will bring one person on their knees, that's for sure. What was going through your mind?
Well, firstly, I was angry because I thought I was going to be okay. When you go...
You believe the traditional medicine. You believe that they are doing everything possible to heal you, correct?
Which, growing up, when we were sick as children, we went to the doctors and, we had a couple of pills and everything was okay. So that's where my mindset was back then.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in anything else. Something that I'm not proud to admit, going through this, I drank a lot and I wanted to literally drink myself to death. It just wasn't a good time of my life. And to be honest, I didn't want to be here. When the doctor said, get your affairs in order, that was the inflection point and the switch to, hey, I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to survive.
Yeah, well, it's a little too early to leave this world.
Yeah, I was just in my mid-40s, around there. And I thought, no, I've got a lot more to give. So I started doing research that I wouldn't normally believe in. So you, with all your nutritional experience, for example, a naturopath, a chiropractor, a homeopath, all of these things I thought were quackery. I didn't believe in anything like that because of the way I was brought up and my mindset, the knowledge I had at the time. So when I flicked the switch, I found an alkaline diet. I knew that the problem that I had couldn't survive or live or thrive in an alkaline state. So I knew I had to change the state of my body. And I became a pescatarian. I ate deep sea fish, organic vegetables, organic salads, and that sort of thing. So I got
your diet finally. Yeah.
Very nice, clean diet from what I was on. So as you know, us Aussies, us Australians, like our barbies, we like our steaks, we like our beer, we like our red wine. All that was gone. Everything was super clean. The other thing that I did at that stage, which I wasn't doing for a long time, from the time I was a bodybuilder, and don't forget the nutrition that that feeds the cells is different from the bodybuilder, the proteins, the amino acids, the creatine, and everything that I required back then. So I had to learn about that side too. So the other thing I had to flick the switch on is there was a lot of people that approached me that were friends, associates, people I knew from the network marketing industry. Now, Vera, if you came to me with a product through the network marketing industry, through that business model 12 years ago, I would have never spoken to you again. I just was
Why was that? Why was that mindset? Do you know?
I was ignorant. I didn't know anything about it. Now, today I teach people never to make a decision on things that you aren't fully informed about.
Yeah.
I had no idea about the business model. So here, my friends are trying to help me sincerely with products that were the best of the best from the businesses they were involved with to help me with what I was going through. So, for the record, and I can say this, companies like Zango's mangosteen juice, I was drinking a bottle a day. Isogenics product B, that was their marquee product. Life Vantage Pro Tandem, Kangen water, Solgevity from Max. These products I took religiously for 2 years on that super clean diet.
And this wasn't cheap either.
No, and another part of my story, which you hear about, by this stage, I'd lost everything. We'd lost everything financially, and we were living in a van on the streets. And this was the result. This photo here, literally after 2 years of eating clean and taking all of those supplements. So the blood works were showing my specialist that everything was still heading in the wrong direction. Nothing that I was doing was working. And then obviously everything that they did worked to a point, but it becomes an issue again. And that's just
it likely prolonged your life, but it didn't improve the quality of it.
Quality, and it was still there. So what they had done was going to happen again. And as you know, a person can only handle so many of those hospital visits.
Yeah.
So I still was desperate for a solution to the problem that I had. You can see that I looked probably 20, 30 years older here than the last photo.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. So yeah, nothing was working. If we can go back to that other one. This point, I'm pulling out my hair that I finally grew back. A friend of mine called Bart Cotter, originally from Logan, Utah, married an Australian girl. I met him, fortunately, we crossed paths through something else that we were doing. He happened to reach back and help me because I helped him with that as well, and told me about a breakthrough technology that was based in Salt Lake City, Utah. I said, okay, Bart, I was desperate. I was willing to listen to everything. What do I need to do? He said, come to Salt Lake City. So we managed to get to Salt Lake City. I had a friend of mine who also had a health challenge with a skin issue he had from the top of his head to his toes. He happened to come with me as well. Mm-hmm. So we met Bart in the boardroom of this company in Salt Lake City, and we were hearing the atomic and medical physicists talking about this breakthrough and what it could do and why it worked so effectively. Be honest with you, Vera, I didn't understand any of the terminology. The word mitochondria I'd never heard of before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had faith that the product was safe, which he said it was, and it could work. It could help.
Right.
So we were drinking it. We were drinking a lot of it while we were there for 3-4 days. In that time, I had the most incredible positive results. Things that I didn't think of because they happened so quick that would be associated with what I was doing. And then things that did happen and the light bulb went on and I was thinking, oh my God, there's something really special here. So 3 hours I went through, there were things that wanted to come out of my body, wanted to expel toxins and all sorts of things so fast. Something I wasn't doing enough was drinking water to flush them out by going to the bathroom. That's how we get rid of toxins. It was coming out of my skin. So I had little red spots all over my upper torso. In 12 hours, a 20-year stomach issue had gone away. Any more than 2 coffees, and I'd have bloating and discomfort the whole day. That problem, 20-year problem, literally was gone overnight. People say, how do you know that? I said, well, I had 6 coffees the next morning without an issue.
Yeah.
That was win number 2. Win number 3, the light bulb went on. Those hospital visits caused me, with what they did, to have a lot of lung damage. So I had trouble breathing and talking at the same time, walking upstairs, walking up hills. That issue was gone literally in 3 days on the product. So do you think I had the belief in what this was doing?
Yeah. Did you have any understanding why is it doing what it is doing?
in those few in
At
the
that
first few
point,
days, I had no idea. I had no idea why. It took a while to learn about what it was, and because keep in mind, it was all about my health.
yeah.
So this part of the journey was 100% all about my health. And I'm going to tell you, I was very selfish in regards to that. When I say very selfish, we were in a position where I couldn't afford the product the way I needed to take the product and the amount I needed to take. But literally with the last little bit of money, or the only money I had, I did buy 6 cases of the product because my best friend was in worse condition than me.
Oh.
And when I got back to Australia, I managed to stay on what we call the maintenance amount of product.
Mm-hmm.
For him and we both needed a lot of this product. I called him. I said, "Hey, Steve, I've come across this breakthrough technology. These are the results I had in 3 days. And I think you should start on it." I said, "You don't have to pay for what I've got. I've bought 6 cases. You can start." And he said to me, "Listen, Dan, I just want to stay with the doctors. I don't want anything to mess up what they're doing. And I want to give that a go." I said, "Okay, if you get into trouble, please let me know. And we can help you and you can start on this."
Let me
For,
just stop you for a little second, because I just want to go with the traditional disclaimer. We are talking about product and modalities or technologies that, first of all, what Dan had as an experience in the first few days, it's not typical. So I just want to everybody understand that, but it's also something that is not intended, or it's implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment of any disease. We are talking about redox signaling molecules that are not intended to treat, cure, heal, prevent, or diagnose any disease or medical condition. They simply empower our body to heal itself by increasing cell efficiency, functions, and communication. I just wanted to make sure that we are on the same page, because I don't want somebody to think that we found some miracle cure that is, it's not the case. It's a miracle indeed, but a different way. And I'm sorry if you can hear on the sound my dog being crazy, because there's a thunderstorm coming around, so he's barking at it. I apologize. I have no way to close him anywhere. Sorry, Dan.
nice and candid. No, candid. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's a compliment to what you're doing. I mean, the doctors do what they do for you. The great thing about this too, with what I was told, it couldn't affect anything else that I was doing or anybody else was
That's
doing.
important thing. That's what many people have worried about. Well, I'm on this and I'm on this and I don't want to mess up with it. This is not going to mess up with anything. This is your native body function that you just replenish what we were losing over the decades. And that's why people with the older age are typically more sick than the younger ones, and healing slower than the younger ones. That's the whole point of what our body as a brilliant machine can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can replenish our body. And the great thing with what we've been told, is it can't harm a newborn baby. As a matter of fact, it's the safest product we can take on the planet.
Yeah.
Non-toxic, bioactive, native to the body. It's different. I mean, I'm standing here right now and I'm being a good boy and I'm taking my vitamin C and all my supplements here, and I'm just going to do this.
And I don't want to forget to show your pictures that were.
We'll come. But I mean, the point I'm getting with those, Vera, is the body needs to work out what to do with what I'm taking.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about blueberries, and the antioxidants and, all that sort of stuff. But blueberries don't grow in our body.
Yeah. And we were trained on the last 100 years was all about antioxidants and vitamins and minerals, and all these things are super important. But without this, there's no 100% guarantee that they are being actually absorbed in your body the way they need to be to get the most benefit out of it.
Yeah, and that's a problem I've got here.
And we can still be allergic to blueberries, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And here in this photo, I'm taking all these good things. I'm eating a great diet here. but my body doesn't know how to 100% utilize that because it's not giving the signals, the guidance of where it's actually required. So here I'm still in a lot of trouble, but I started taking this product. I did start feeling better. When I went to get my results, as time went on, the doctors were saying your blood works are improving, your blood works are improving. Fantastic. And
How
then,
long did it take? Do you remember?
well, I started on the product 9 years ago next month. So that was in October 2014. This photo here, just over a year later in December 2015, the doctors gave me some good news and said no sign of those two major challenges.
Wow.
But not only that, multiple injuries from playing sports, which were turning into that crippling issue as we got older, had gone away. 20 years of pollen problems, sneezing, runny nose, gone away. So basically my whole body was rebuilt in a year on this product. That was a little bit about my journey back to health. I mean, I remember at 44, just before I was given the bad news, I used to sit on the side of the bed when I woke up in the morning thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get up? Oh,
yeah, we start feeling it. Yeah.
You know, the aches, the discomforts, but and you know, as you're getting older, you think that's normal. And you think, okay, well,
because we see it all around us. Yeah.
We see it everywhere. You just got to deal with that. So here I am now. This is now into 2015. Health journey was incredible, but if you fast forward to here another 2 years, this is 3 years on the product. So you can see I'm looking, younger again. So going through those photos, when you see somebody and they're not looking well on the outside, then they're not well on the inside. My complexion here is a reflection of what was going on the inside at that time. So I know now, and I can look into a crowd of people and I know who's actually taking this product and who isn't by the way that they look. So this is it's not the end of my journey, because obviously I've been taking this product for 9 years next month, and my body really hasn't missed a beat in that whole time. Whereas 9 years ago, it was totally broken. We had lost everything. We were living in a van on the streets in Australia. We were living on disability. We went bankrupt. And
you had quite a prognosis from your doctors.
Yeah, things were looking very, very grim. I've been in business where there's been a few hiccups and it knocks you to your knees. It's easy to get up when you have your health in that situation. When I was knocked to my knees and down onto my hands in this situation, when I lost my health, I felt defeated, totally, totally defeated. I couldn't physically get up or do anything whatsoever. I mean, I was laying on the couch all day. My wife said, I was gray, literally, my skin from what they were putting me through.
Yeah.
She'd wake up and I'd be lying her next morning in bed and she'd be wondering if I was going to be alive or dead. Gray, and just like death warmed up. But I mean, that's what it is really. From what I was going through, with what I was told what I had from a horrendous weed killer that I used in the past, by the way, to going through what they put me through in that hospital, whereas we know every single cell in the body is being targeted and there's a detrimental effect, which is literally your whole body.
Yeah.
So literally I came from doing well after school in traditional business and having incredible health, being an athlete, losing my health, losing everything financially when we could go to a different restaurant every night, to regaining my health. And then obviously, thanks to a business model behind the breakthrough, it gave us the ability to get our lifestyle back.
I have one more question regarding you mentioned that you are on it now for 9 years. So you got your health back, you're looking great, you are in shape. Why would you continue to take it?
For me personally, I mean, there's a lot of studies that show that while on the product, it's doing some incredible things like opening up genetic pathways and increasing the ability for them to perform. over 30%, up over 30% more effectively. Reduction in oxidation. Vera, if you go back, I'm only going to your age or mine, but when I was okay, when I was 5 years old, 50 years ago, I'm nearly 56. The toxins that we actually took into our body as a child, going back 50 years, over a 12-month period, we now intake every 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
That's 36,000 times more toxins entering our body every year than what there was going back all those years ago. So there's many reasons why I am going to continue on the product. One, for me, it's an insurance policy. Two, I'm looking at longevity. I mean, people look at me funny sometimes, and people go, that's possible. People can do that. I'm looking at 150. Don't worry about 80 or 90 or 100 years old. Yeah. I want to get to 150. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't get to a longevity age of 100, 110, 120, and so on, is because our cells are breaking down all day, every day. And the toxins coming in, the environmental impact. So I want to get those toxins out as quickly as possible. And I want those cells rejuvenated as quickly as possible, which means I need antioxidants activated as quickly as possible. Yeah. I need everything to be kept in balance and homeostasis in my whole body. I need genes to turn on and off when I need them. So I want to make sure that I'm taking enough product. Instead of running around like a 56-year-old, I'd rather run around and recover like a 30-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I take a lot of this product. Not the maintenance amount. Thank God I've got the affordability and flexibility to do that. So
I'm sure you want to reach that age, not on a wheelchair, but possibly having the quality of life that you can actually enjoy it. And like I live in Florida, there's a lot of elderly people around me, 80s, 90s. Some of them are in incredible shape, still driving, playing golf, I don't know what, but all of them, basically all of them. And like you said before, we kind of tend to look at it like that's a natural with aging. You have to take it with the aging. That's just part of life. Their calendar is filled with doctor's visits, with replacing parts, going through surgeries, going through filling that weekly pill boxes and that's unfortunately creating new issues that they didn't have before with the side effects. So it's incredible because I'm totally with you there, because yes, I want to live older, but I want to have the quality of life that I can actually enjoy it. And I believe this product, seriously, it's the only thing on the market that can do that.
Yeah, you said some magic words when we first started about taking the responsibility of your health or my health into your own hands. It's definitely something that people need to do. They take for granted the condition that they're in.
Yes.
They think they've got their health, but I remind them that they have that disease called aging. We all do. Our cells are breaking down all day, every day. And I don't like to just educate people that are sick. I like to educate people that have their health as well, to maintain their health. So it's all about maintaining, regaining, and as you said, living that quality of life. I mean, just to go peacefully in my sleep at the age of 150, that would be absolutely perfect. That's my goal. Wow. And I'll do everything to do that. We eat correctly while we're at home. I don't know if we've discussed in the past, or if you've ever heard that I like my organic chicken bone broth soup for breakfast with organic vegetables and organic chicken breast. I eat super clean. I try and do the best I can in moderation while I'm traveling, but I've got a really, really good balance. So, and as you know, it's not just all about, what we're doing from this point of view or nutrition. It's, it's exercise, it's sleep, it's mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You have to come in holistically at every angle, but really foundationally, it's the biggest breakthrough that we've come across, this particular product. That without it, there's no way I'd be standing here talking to you now.
Well, first of all, you also your former denier of network marketing became one of the top stars of this business, it not only offered you a great level of living, but you are fulfilled because you are now sharing this knowledge with everybody around you and you are impacting other people's life. This is such a like gratifying feeling of this business that, you know, if you come over that bench that some people have with network marketing, that they wouldn't even look at something because it's distributed this way, not realizing that it's the biggest breakthrough of our lifetime, that there are scientists behind it, that there are universities now asking this company to be able to research this product because we are the only company in the world that has it, that was able to stabilize those very fleeing molecules. Tell me how that journey started. When did the business switch in your head began, and what did you do as one of the first steps to start on your successful path? I'm sure it wasn't straight up to the top.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of Vertus Norton, the founder of the company, when you were talking then, because he was a little bit, he was very successful, but in regards to his journey, he was always looking at leaving that legacy.
Oh, yes.
It's always something that my whole life I've been looking for something to have an impact, to do the same thing. So I've done that right through traditional business. I wanted to leave my mark. I wanted to be remembered. I fell into the industry as a byproduct of losing my health. If that didn't happen, I'll be honest with you, I'll be in traditional business still. Mm-hmm. Because I'd still had the same mindset. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have done the research. I wouldn't have got the knowledge. I mean, you talk about the breakthrough technology that universities are coming to the company now, and they want to work with the company. The business model's taught in every single university in the US. So it's real. It's definitely real. So I do regret in a way that, at the age of 19, 20, someone came along and said, hey, there's this business model that I never got into, but I just don't think it was my time. Mm-hmm. It's all about timing for a lot of people, in regards to reaching out to people about what we have or the potential business model behind it. There's a lot of people that just say no, or, dismiss you for years. Some people may never talk to you again. I mean, for me, we are offering the most compelling opportunity in so many ways. I mean, the two biggest things that people are looking for in life is health or, financial health.
Independent.
Yeah. So for me, as I said, I fell in as a byproduct of losing my health after a few months, and I was very selfish at the beginning. The first 5 months, it was all about me. It was all about getting the best results. It was all about getting my health back on track.
Which is important, though. Which is important. You cannot fill others' cup from empty cup.
Yeah.
You need to be fine first in order to do well for others.
So for me, there was a physical side that had to come back to have the energy, the feel, the look to be able to do that. But it didn't happen like, hey, I'm just going to build this huge organization around the world. Mm-hmm. It would have done people an injustice not to share this with the results I had.
Yeah.
So I did start sharing it. And it came to the point where I made a decision that I'm going to do this full time and tell the world about it. And I did that 7 days a week for the first year, 18 hours a day. I didn't stop because I was so excited about what this is, what it was doing for people, what it did for me, and the potential.
Yeah.
So once I made the decision, I was full on board. Yeah.
So how did you start? It's hard to imagine for some people. We have internet obviously now, thank God, so we don't have to travel to talk to people. But I guess maybe you did the both. And were you still in Australia when you started business?
So I was geographically challenged. I'd hardly been to anywhere around the world. Excuse me, still in Australia at the time. Mm-hmm. Obviously at the beginning, still on disability pension, so financially it still wasn't good. And I just made a decision to reach out to everyone. Now, that was a mistake, obviously, because I was being a prophet in my own backyard. And, you know, when I've got this skill, knowledge, and expertise, and people know me in my life for doing this, then all of a sudden I'm the expert on the biggest breakthrough in health we'll come across in our lifetime. That doesn't resonate with people that you know. They don't either trust or believe you,
Yeah.
you know. So I made a lot of mistakes in regards to sharing it, which I regret. But anyway, that's just life, and they were just mistakes. For the people that did get involved, they had results on the product. They loved the product. And back in Australia, we only had the topical gel, which is the same
Right.
technology. We didn't have the actual consumable drink. So we're actually applying these molecules rather than consuming them. But people were getting results with wrinkles. So that's what we built this business on. We built it on wrinkles and people getting results with their wrinkles. So we went from living in a van, struggling on disability pension, to 12 months later, when from the time I decided to share it, to literally traveling the world full time. It happened in a very, very short period of time. Keep in mind with everything we do, it's time, it's effort, it's work. You know, you're not going to get something for nothing. I mean, if you go back to what we discussed in regards to what the education system in to become the best employer you can, you go and you do that. You work for somebody, you want to be the best that you can do. You want to get your promotions. You want to get your pay rises. You go out there and do that. And if you don't do that, or if you sit there and do nothing, you're going to get the sack.
I'm sorry if you hear that noise, because I'm getting thunderstorm around and Nico is going crazy. He has the need to bark or growl at the thunder. So Nico.
We can't hear anything. It's all good.
Okay, good microphone. Supposed to block the noise, but I could hear him, of course. So I apologize if that's the case to going through.
All good. I think coming from traditional business, I brought in my work ethic. Coming from being an athlete, I brought in discipline.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have the past and the experience that I had to have work ethic and discipline. Mm-hmm. You bring those two things to this industry, you work with somebody who's going to support you, which is what we do. I mean, the great thing about this, and, you know, we're talking right now, I'm the personal assistant you'll never have to pay.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, the team I'm working with, whoever it is, you know, I mean, we call ourselves a family. We're really one. We're working together to get this breakthrough technology to as many people as possible. And we want it in the hands of as many people as possible around the world. So whatever it takes to do that, regardless of who you are or where you're sitting, we're here to help, hold your hand, support, and run. We always say that we run with the runners, jog with the joggers, walk with the walkers, and stop with the stoppers.
That's the one thing, if I may interrupt here, that I was totally shocked with positively, was the community of people I gained when I first started. And I had no intention to do this as a business. It was very, very bad time of my life. And so I went in because of the effects that it had on my health. But later on, I was looking at the business, and it totally shocked me, because there's basically no other company in the world that would provide you with all the tools, everything that you may need for free. You don't have to be expert in it. You don't have to study for degree to be able to mention to somebody that something helped you. And you have, starting from with you, who are today multi-millionaire living in Hawaii, that give me your personal time to just tell us about it and be available on the phone if somebody needs, you know, justification or to confirm it from somebody else. Like you said, when you talk to first people, they know you as somebody else. They know you that you just found this, that you cannot possibly be expert in it, and you don't have to be, because there's so many people upline, crossline, that are available to you, that you can reach out to, and they will happy share their experience, and they have likely much more experience than you do. And it's, you know, but it's not only that, but when I first came, this was my second convention in Dallas. I was the first time I was in Las Vegas, and I was just few months in ASEA. I have never met such a warm, welcoming group of people from all over the world. There was not one arrogant person that would dismiss you or like wouldn't have time for you or wouldn't take a picture with you. I was stunned because I have worked in traditional companies as an employee. I have run businesses as an employer. And I was joking just the other day. There's like every single company you go to, there's this one jerk that will decide to make your life miserable. Yeah. And you like sometimes it affects your whole day because you just can't get away. It's either your coworker or your direct manager or somebody that you don't like, and it affects your performance and everything. I have not found that one person yet in this company. And like you said, we get on calls and we support each other, we cheer on each other, and it's amazing because that community was something that I badly needed at that time of my life. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, when you look at it, you're going to sound terrible, but dog eat dog world out there in corporate, and you know, if you're employed and there's competition and people are stepping on each other, yes. And so there's all that happening out there. The great thing is that no one can hurt each other with this business model. No one can steal or rip each other off.
Yeah, you are really not competing. You are only supporting each other. Yeah.
Supporting each other. If we help each other, we help ourselves in doing that. That automatically happens as a byproduct of other people. So if you look at this with all my experience in the banking sector, 20 years in traditional business, employed, 3,500 people over that period of time, built some of the biggest companies in Australia. If you put all that success together, that pales in comparison to what we have in this one opportunity, which I believe is the most compelling that we'll ever see. Not just in our lifetime, this is going to go on for many, 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 many years. So there's a lot of people we still have to impact. If you look at the numbers, we've got access officially to around 4 to 5 billion people through what we're doing. And there's less than 1 million people that have heard about this.
That's true. Yeah. And we have basically no competition because there is no such product on the market that can do that.
Zero.
And that's when I was fascinated when I first heard you talking about your story, that, because you meet people and they believe, oh, there's plenty of supplements like this on the market. And yeah, I don't need this because I'm doing this. You went through almost all of it. And you saw that unless our cells communicate clearly, which is the most essential level of your, it's like an operating system for your computer. You can bring new parts, you can get new battery, you can add more memory, you can do whatever you want, but the aging of the computer, unless the operating system functions flawlessly, it wouldn't make a difference. And I feel it's the same for our body, because the communications between cells, which this is the cellular communication in between cells that basically leads everything in your body and affects absolutely everything in your body. Unless that functions loudly and clearly, you can put Mercedes into your body as terms of nutrition and supplements and spend thousands a month to supplement this, but it wouldn't work properly unless this worked properly. And that's something that totally fascinates me in today's world. I have people that spend thousands of dollars on glutathione shots. And I don't know if you know anything about it. I believe I read somewhere a study that it lasts in your body about 3 days. And then you read that you drink readout signaling molecules that are native to your body with no side effects. Body doesn't have to figure out what to do with it. It just uses it. And it raises your natural glutathione 800%. So which one is more valuable? It's like when you start digging deeper into the differences, because I always like to see what the competition is doing and how is it different. Well, this is in category of its own. This has no competition, because
Yeah.
if you really take time to research this and go to pubmed.gov, don't go to Google, that is like trash can of everything. It's not a research, it is search engine. So
Yeah.
I would recommend to really research like reliable sources like pubmed.gov, or we have a lot of science that we can send you. You will see that there is seriously nothing like it in the market today. And people that had diagnoses like you, that were basically told to put their affairs in order, medicine did everything possible to do what they thought were helping you. And yet you were almost at the end of your life facing the worst. And there is still, your body is such a brilliant machine that if it gets the right resources and tools, it can still rejuvenate and rebuild. And that's just the most fascinating thing about this. You are a great example. Look at you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, Vera, you say people talk about other products on the market and they're similar. I say, I shut them down straight and go, no, it's not. There's nothing like it on the market. As a matter of fact, anything that you may know about or anything that is on the market cannot work effectively or efficiently without what we have.
Yeah.
So no, we're in a really good place in regards to that. I feel so privileged and honored and humbled to actually be part of it. I think, it goes back to when Bart called me and said, I think I found something that can help. I mean, I could have ignored that.
Yeah.
I could have dismissed him, but I didn't. And
you were desperate enough to look at it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there like that, and they'll say, I'll stick with my doctors for now, which my friend did, and then we didn't get to the end of that. But 4 months later, he was gone. By the way, he just
it breaks my heart.
Yeah,
it still
wouldn't
breaks
cry.
my heart. Yeah, because
48 years
I
old.
would talk to people that I know is the best thing that can possibly make a difference, and they wouldn't even look at it. And it's just heartbreaking, because I have seen enough evidence that it makes difference.
Yeah.
It may not be within first few days. It may take a while, because you didn't get where you are now overnight as well. This process is not like we are conditioned to take a pill and the pain goes away. This is not a drug. This is not pharmaceutical. This is actually helping replenish your own cellular system so it works the most efficiently that it could. And that takes time. Depends on age and everything, of course.
Exactly.
And like one of the doctors from medical board, I was really laughing, because the people also underestimate, and you did not, you actually learned to clean your diet. People so underestimate what you put in your body makes a difference. So, well, I just love sugar. I was like, I can't live without it. I was like, I'm just gonna keep eating junk because it's easy, and it's no way to live without this, because it just makes me happy. And she once said, well, if you're eating garbage, ASEA just keeps you alive because you're doing really nothing for your health. And it's a sad, because we would spend more on our our pets, on our car. You wouldn't put low quality petrol in your Porsche, because you taking care of it, but yet we have this one body for whole life, and people look at it like, oh well, disposable.
Yeah, I know, it's good. It's great. And people go to the doctors, and I say to them when we have the conversation about this, I'm just going to do some more research on this, they say. And I say to them, you've gone to the doctors said, do this, this, and this, and you had no hesitation. You didn't say to him, I'm just going to do my research, did you?
That's right. Yeah.
I could never tell a doctor or your specialist or whatever his job, because he's an expert at that. Well, Vera, you and I are redox experts. So if you want the to be educated on what this is and what it can do, come to us and we'll show you the correct research, where to go, give you links, and exactly like your doctor with him being expertise in what he does, we can do that from our point of view and our expertise as a redox biochemistry expert.
There's one thing that just came to my mind, because usually when you think about it, your doctor study for several years. Then they had the residency. Then they were like, when I worked in nutrition, there was one truth that I found out was shocking. Even though nutrition is such a essential part of your health, the amount of time doctors spend on nutrition during their years of studies is 1 day. This technology, this biochemistry process was discovered in our bodies in late 80s. And it was for longest time believed that it's impossible to recreate it outside of the body because it's fleeing energy. It's not a nutrition. It's not something that you can supplement like with some, you know, acai berries or blueberries or something. So it was believed it was impossible to actually recreate what body does outside of the body, but this company did. And unless your doctor studied recently, if they didn't study in 80, if they study in 80s, they never heard of it. They never ever heard of it. And they don't have time to research the latest science. So when somebody tells you, let me check with my doctor, I'm 100% sure he will tell them it's nonsense because I never heard of it. Instead of taking the time and look at it seriously what it is, the only person the entire time, I'm not in ASEA as long as you are, I'm only a little over 2 years, but I have spoken to a lot of people. My neurologist looked at me like I just fell off Mars until I showed him what it can do with the gel. And then he said, well, that's my plan B for retirement. This is crazy. This is like none of the treatments that I have available do this. But he didn't know anything about redox. He never heard of it. And the only person who knew about this was my personal trainer, who is such a walking science nerd that he knows everything. Yeah. And when I brought it to him, he was like, no way. This is so exciting. I can witness this in the real, you know, in the real life. Like, and obviously he got on it. He saw what it did for me for first 7 days, because we could measure those results right at the gym. And he saw a huge difference. And his wife, who suffered her whole life with the debilitating, how to say it properly?
Brain ache.
Yes. She would have these episodes when she had to call him. He had to drop his schedule and go home because she couldn't be around her kids. She had to go to dark room and rest for hours. And it would come few times a week. It would come basically before her female cycle. It was like schedule. He knew that would be it. And then when she was on a period, she would be having this almost every day. It was destroying their life. It was really, really, and several times she ended up in ER because it was unbearable. Yeah. And so that was the first thing he did, that he put her on ASEA. And he was very diligent to take a progress, to make notes and be sure that to notify what was the process. Within first month, she had one episode, and it took about 60 minutes as opposed to several hours to go away. And the second month, it never even came. So he was absolutely stunned. So this is, like I said, it's not typical, but there's so much potential. And what is most important, it doesn't affect one thing. When you think of doctor diagnosing something, they have their tunnel vision to their expertise and specialty. You know, they look at lungs, they don't see the heart. They don't see how everything is interconnected. That's why I'm so fascinated with holistic way of looking at the body, because it's not ever one thing. It's always connected with something else. So sometimes you treat the wrong problem or you have a wrong diagnosis because the symptoms are there, but it's coming from somewhere else. With this, does it matter where it comes from? Yeah, no, that's right. The great thing is with what we're discussing here, is there is so many double-blind, placebo-controlled studies on the product. And PubMed.gov, if you go and put in redox signaling in any word, there's over 600,000 results now.
you spoke about there's not many people that know about it, fastest growing field of science. Maybe doctors, nurses, the last 10 years have heard about it, but just like the day on nutrition, just very, very briefly, because it's not part of what they do. I've spoken to thousands of people. Only 1 in 1,000 have heard of redox signaling molecules that I talk to. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that depend on their health, listening to people that only live for an average age of 53 years. And that does not make sense to me.
As harsh as it sounds, there is not really a big will to heal you when you think of it, because you know what's the point? That if you're healthy, if you are taking care of yourself, if you take responsibility, you are likely not gonna need as many pharmaceuticals going forward. So you're not really a great example for their business, which is sad true as well.
Yeah. The industry unfortunately wants to keep you here as long as possible, as unhealthy as possible.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. And I'll be honest with you, as you know, I was one of those people that only thought that way. And now I know that I can take responsibility and look after my health. And now I have the knowledge, look after tens of thousands of other people's health, which directly and indirectly I've done. And it's been an incredible journey to do that.
Yeah, when you think of it, it's really your life and you have it in your own hands. I'm so excited that you actually found your calling and you are here healthy and alive with us today. It's just when you look back, what would be the major difference you can think of from 12 years ago when you were dealing with all this to today? What is something that you have to give up and what is something that you gained?
Well, I mean, if I look back, I thought my life had finished in so many ways, of course, all the way back then. And I would never have dreamed of literally getting my health back. And then, even coming back to reestablishing ourselves financially. I ask people the question, what's the most important thing in life? Most people will say family, but from my experience, it's health. Because when I didn't have my health, I couldn't see my family. So I would never give away the journey that I came on, the hospital visits, as horrendous as it was, everything that I'd gone through. I think it was just literally part of my divine intervention that actually brought me to this breakthrough technology that helped me regain my health. And then it's given me the ability to do the most satisfying thing that I have ever done in my life and help people in ways that are so powerful. And I could never imagine, because if you go back to traditional business, and I would wash somebody's car in a business that I had, it wasn't a great big hug, thank you. There wasn't that satisfaction or that connection, that thank you from that person. We did a nice driveway through the concreting business, same thing. I mean, it's here's your money and that was it. So this is by far the most satisfying thing that I've ever done in my entire life. Nothing has ever come close. And then as a byproduct of helping people, receiving the thank you checks, which I say saved my life. It was the thank you checks that saved my life, because if it wasn't for the company actually giving me those thank you checks for helping people, I didn't have the money for product to be able to saturate my body with those molecules, to find the damage and then to regain my health. So I invested all of that back into a lot more product for my health. And what that's done now, we've built a big business. Not only we can help a lot of people with what we do directly, and my wife is absolutely amazing in regards to this. With her philanthropic ways, she just helps everybody, from somebody in the street, somebody in a restroom, to animals, to small projects and big projects. So the money that we make, which to me is substantial, it's absolutely enormous. It's given us the ability to help people in a lot of other different ways as well.
And now you live in Hawaii, so That's the ultimate meditation kind of surroundings to keep you feel well and healthy.
Yeah, and just a short few years ago, we didn't have any assets. We own nothing. We've got a place back in Australia. We've got a place here. We've got land in Costa Rica. We've built some incredible investments and assets. Just totally changed. So there's the comfortability now financially, assets. So what we lost, we've more than regained now, and built that side of things. But back when I was, say, the most successful in any of my businesses in my entire life as an entrepreneur, we didn't have the money to be able to help people. So it's the thing that we've got, the satisfying thing that we've got money that we can actually help others with.
It goes beyond your own needs.
Yeah. And
So
it's fantastic. And have the ability to go, okay, and I'll give you an example. Next Wednesday, we take off to see Pink concert in Los Angeles.
wow.
And that's Thursday. But on Saturday, we see U2 in Las Vegas. So that's on the 5th and the 8th. And my wife said, hey, the Eagles will never play again. It's their last tour. So I changed the whole trip, and literally in between on the 6th, we're actually going to Colorado to watch Denver to watch the Eagles play before we come back to see U2. So to go grab an extra $5,000 and say, hey, we're just going to do that for one night.
Yeah.
Never, ever would have happened to me at my highest peak in traditional business. Yeah. Never. So we've got the ability to do that, to have fun. And I live every day like it's my last now with what I've been through.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah.
And I recommend everybody do that. So be as productive as possible, have as much fun as possible. Don't take anything for granted. I mean, there's people, Vera, you're down there in Florida. Make sure you're a tourist in your own town. Just go for it. Just go for it. Yeah. But I mean, there's things like what we're involved in, the opportunity with health and financially, that people can either take or not.
Yeah.
And they can do something with that. And as I said, this would be the most compelling opportunity by far that I have ever seen in my entire life. There's no shinier object than what we have now. There's nothing shinier. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if we can part ways with some recommendation, but I think you just did. It was very beautiful what you said. It's true that unfortunately, sometimes we have to get all the way down on our knees and lower to realize that we have one life and we need to live it to fullest, because like my trainer famously says, none of us is getting out of here alive. We keep getting there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a couple of things just to finish up on. I mean, we talk about making decisions on things we haven't been informed about. Don't dismiss what we're talking about. Do your proper due diligence. Find out what this is all about. Try the product for yourself for at least 3 months.
Yeah.
And then make a decision on what this is and if you want to do something with it. There's a massive opportunity there in two ways, but an opportunity is only an opportunity if you do something with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for making time. It's been really a pleasure, and I wanted to invite you for so long. I just didn't have the guts to even approach you. And then I did, and you were so sweet and warm and welcoming, and I really appreciate that, because it's been one thing about this company that when you compare it to regular business, when you are working at the corporation, imagine you go after president of the company and ask them to give you, to take a lunch with you. They'll be laughing they will be laughing you out of the office. I have been in smaller companies where the owner was very approachable, and I really, really appreciated it and respected it. But most people, they never get to those high points. Yet here you are, and you're spending almost 2 hours with me on a Zoom, just to share the message. And it's important to share your own personal stories, because we didn't get to this company for our personal gain only. Of course, it's a business for profit, and of course, we all need money to pay bills and everything. But I think almost every single one of us went to start working with this product because we saw the amazing results, what it can do, either on ourselves or on somebody that we care about around us. And when you see that, you just feel compelled that you have to share it. Everybody deserves to know about it. And we can show people if they don't believe us. Unfortunately, we can bring the horse to the water, but we can't make them drink, literally. But it's a shame. I would encourage everybody to keep open mind, because there's new technologies coming out all the time.
I mean, to me, everybody is equal. There's no one above or below anybody. You got Tyler Norton that will spend a lot of time with you.
I know, exactly.
He's the person who does that. I mean, us as leaders, we do the same thing. We're not untouchable. We're here. We're just the normal person that, you know, I do training, and I say to people, have you ever been called a legend? I mean, at least once in your life, or someone's called you a legend. Now, what's a legend? Legend is an ordinary person that has done extraordinary things. That's all. There's no difference. We're all ordinary people. So just some do more than others. And, you know, this company, when I first walked into, if I go back to that first meeting in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Tyler Norton, our founder, stood up. And this comes back to bringing the right people into what we are doing with the right intention, good people. And he said, we do not want anybody involved in what we do, this business, that has ego and economics above principles and purpose. And that blew my mind.
Yes. And it shows all these years. It shows that this is not only a statement, this is the philosophy that this company is run by.
Yeah, that's how we are. We have principles, we have values, we have integrity, we have ethics, and nothing's going to deviate us from who we are and why we're doing it.
Thank you so much. This can be more beautiful ending to our wonderful conversation. I so appreciate your time, Dan. It was really a pleasure to hear more about your life story and what it meant to start working with this. And I'm sure we will see each other shortly again, and maybe at another 80s party where we got wild. But it's been a really privilege to work with people like you, and to be coached by them and mentored by them, and be around you, and just learn from people that went before you. It's a wonderful thing. So thank you so much again. And I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, because you are in Hawaii. I'm here in the evening, but you have still day in ahead of you. Thank you so much. And my apologies to your wife that we took so much of your time.
Oh, no, this is what we do. This is all we do. Yeah. I feel guilty if I'm not doing this, because I know while we're not, somebody is suffering. So we're doing this all the time. And hopefully you can get this to a lot of people. And what we discussed here today can help them in life, help them in general, help them to make decisions. And I really appreciate you taking out your time to actually reach out to me to do this.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Vera.